think we are now live.
Let's do this.
Let's see. Just making sure we actually are. And we are live.
We're live? Great.
We are live. Round 2.
There's nothing like a very charming, ridiculous first attempt to come back from.
Really, yeah. It's like bloopers.
Yeah, it's a
fine.
blooper reel.
It's a blooper
yeah,
reel.
Surprise.
Yay!
We like to start with the blooper reel. It's not traditional.
Versus at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Round 2.
Round 2.
Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Subtitles. In Spanglish. This week we are going to review a Chinese movie, 2016 movie called The Mermaid.
The Mermaid. Which is slapstick action. It's got some rom-com.
It has some
It's a lot of things.
Yes. It's a lot of it. Definitely, Karen put it best halfway through the movie. She's like, I have yet to predict anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's completely unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Jean Genet and Amélie and Micmacs and that kind of like hodgepodge. Is that hodgepodge?
Hodgepodge?
Hodgepodge.
Yeah. And that's
Mezcla.
only
Una
for a few
mezcla.
minutes.
Yeah. This is taken to the extreme.
Yeah, and there are moments where you're like, this is inspired by an acid trip. And then
And why are we not high watching this?
And the X Games. And by the way,
Yes.
so there are mermaids. There's an
Yes.
octopus, mermaid, whatever he is. He's got, he's an octopus and a man. And they do not shy away from showing the mer people and the octopus guy.
No.
So it's not like they're trying to get by with a little bit of CGI here and there. The mer people and the octopus guy are everywhere all the time.
Yes. They the effects are a mix. At some points it looks like you're watching a cartoon movie at one point, and it's still before spoiling everything, because I probably will on this one.
Okay.
Loved this movie, but
it was great.
That being said, you have to go in with an open mind.
Yes.
We had no context. A friend of ours, Charlie Barnett, who's a fellow actor, worked with me on Valor. He's become a very close friend of ours. Recommended this movie.
He was in Russian Doll.
He was in Russian Doll. He's in a ton of things. Yeah. He's fantastic actor, classically trained, Juilliard, can do anything. This guy, you can have him be a good guy, a bad guy, angry, happy, in love, sad. Like, he is so malleable and he is fantastic. So he recommended this movie. Mm-hmm. He also has similar sense of humor and sensibilities. Oof, English is hard. Me va a costar un poquito, eh?
Not sure when he saw it. Is this something that he just recently?
I think he saw it
and passed it on to us.
Maybe when it came out on a plane or something, he said.
Okay.
And he's like, look, it was just really great. You should check it out. The Mermaid title alone got me interested. I was in automatically.
Just a quick, I'm looking here at the description. It is the story of a playboy businessman who falls in love with a mermaid sent to assassinate him. So that's how it starts off. And the description, let's see, released in China, February 2016, broke numerous box office records, including biggest opening day and biggest single day gross through its 7-day release, as well as having the biggest opening week of all time in China. And it's the 7th highest grossing film of all time in China.
Biggest opening week of all time in China.
That's right.
Wow.
If any of you have seen Kung Fu Hustle, it's hilarious.
Stephen Chow.
Phenomenal.
Same director.
Same creator. So, but although different, Kung Fu Hustle is more consistent. This one, again, roller coaster doesn't begin to describe the experience of watching this film.
Pinball machine, maybe.
Pinball
a little
machine,
bit more.
I think, yes, came up
just
that
like
night.
very sharp.
Just ding, 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 ding.
Plot
What?
twists here and there.
Sure.
Completely unpredictable.
Weird reactions. Or maybe, we were saying, maybe there's something about the humor that is makes sense in China.
Yeah.
And to us is unusual. Like, strange overreactions that are humorous that to us seem
So one of the comps that I was thinking about was when I watched Anchorman the first time, or a lot of Will Ferrell movies. Social context, being from Spain, I had none for a lot of the jokes that he was, making. And I didn't get it the first few times. And then after living here for a few years, then I started to understand. I was like,
Anchorman, of all the movies.
Or Talladega Nights, or,
Some of those things are very specifically American information. That's true. Although, with Anchorman, that one took everyone a second watch.
You think so?
For sure. It becomes one of those like more cult classic type movies. A lot of people the first time around were like, what the bleep is going on here?
Oh, we cuss on this podcast.
Yeah, I know, it's so weird. We'll get there.
She'll get comfortable enough. She doesn't refrain from doing so in real life. So.
Not. And my mother says, why did I send you to Catholic school?
I know. We're both, I guess, we try to portray ourselves as incredibly professional, ladylike. Business women, and curse like sailors. Deep,
they
we
say
just can't help it.
That if you swear, it signifies being kind of more honest. I suppose because you're...
I'll take it.
Like more off the cuff. If you're okay with swearing, then you're more unstudied and less...
I'll go with that
in your speech, and therefore more likely to be honest.
I was actually wondering if in The Mermaid, it's in Mandarin, so obviously we have no context to translate.
We're
but we're on the subtitles, and some of the subtitles were not translated to.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure about the accuracy of the subtitles. We can't.
Yeah, so I think we're going to
win. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. We got this. We will make it happen. So yeah, some of the subtitles were a little bit hit or miss with English. So we can only assume that it's because there are a lot of terms that were not easily translated. I really wish we had the context of somebody who spoke Mandarin to be able to kind of describe how accurate those subtitles were in this case.
There were also some really weird audio moments, right? Where even the Mandarin wasn't lining up with
as
the
if
lead
the
actresses.
ADR had gone weird, or there was a lag.
Right. And then is that intentional? I mean, it's a huge movie with a big budget. It's not like they do an ADR mess up and be okay with it.
No, I'm assuming that they would absolutely just try to... I think it's change in dialogue, most likely. Sometimes you do it and you try to match it up and it doesn't work.
Kind of like the, older martial arts films. They tend to, the kind of bad dubbing. And I wonder if it's a play on that. Because they were also using... Yeah, and they were also using the sort of music that you hear in those old school martial arts films. I'm not going to sing. I don't know what I'm doing in terms of singing the songs, but... for those of you that have watched any martial arts films, you'll know what I'm talking about from Jump.
So if you haven't and you have a chance, watch the trailer even. The trailer for The Mermaid sets a tone. It still will give nothing away. You will still be able to predict nothing. It's not the way some trailers are here where you actually get plot or you get the full movie at this point.
Yeah. No.
It's not like that at all. It'll make you visually engage and see what it's going to look like. But it also kind of sets a bit of the tone. And if you have a chance to watch the trailer, do so. If you're willing to wing it and go straight in and be surprised, go ahead and watch it.
Do you think there's anything that we could turn into a drinking game for this movie?
Oh my gosh.
What thing is repeated that...
Flying mermaids. I will leave it at that. Anytime a mermaid flies...
You'll get alcohol poisoning if that's the way you want to go. You're not going to be okay by the end of the movie.
So let's talk about some of the performances.
Okay.
Because the girl who plays Yun Lin, who plays the actual mermaid, the main character, Shen. They changed the subtitles a couple of times, whether it was Shan or Shen. But beautiful young girl. Gorgeous actress.
Yeah.
She, I think, did a really good performance of playing the ingenue, the Little Mermaid kind of, archetype where she's fish out of water.
Haha.
Boom. And she, like the La Inocencia, no?
Yeah.
Like, what do you...
Yeah, the innocence. Ingenue captures it.
Yeah.
But also, not without comic ability. She's got some weird moments in the amusement park scene where she really goes for it.
Brave.
And I was impressed. Yeah.
I liked her. She was brave. She whether it was the director giving her those kind of, pushes to take it there. She definitely wasn't she wasn't self-aware, which is wonderful to watch in a performance, right? Especially
Good way to put it.
female actresses that are playing a character that is very heavily stylized, as a mermaid would be. And that is something that she was definitely very unaware. Now, what do we think about the main gentleman, who is Chow Deng?
The Playboy businessman?
Yes, our Christian Grey of the Mermaid.
Yeah. He's all right.
Yeah. Again,
No strong feelings
no,
about him.
yeah, he felt a little bit servicing more the story than the character.
I would agree
Right.
with that, sure. It's just, he's another playboy who falls in love, but I'm trying to think if his moments of redemption or anything like that where I thought, man, he's really delivering, but not so much. He's perfectly fine. So no complaints, no highlights.
Yeah.
How about the evil real estate developer? His the woman with all the fantastic outfits.
She is fantastic. Let me see what her name is.
So we've got your
Yuki
classic
Zhang.
Yuki Zhang,
Ugh,
classic
stunning.
ice queen, willing to do whatever it takes to kind of both get him and make the deal.
Yeah, like get him and like get back at him and get with him, both.
Like, resents him / wants it. It's complicated, but she's also kind of a typical character, right? Just evil, smoking hot, amazing gear.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the
Right.
outfits. Yeah, you kind of know she's gonna be the big bad or the evil one from the get go.
Right.
That's not a surprise. That's maybe the one thing you can kind of predict a little bit. And but her motivations switch back at it's still unpredictable because you still have no idea why and what is she trying to get and what is she trying to do? She loves him. Wait, she wants to sleep with him, seduce him? No,
She
kill him.
slaps her
I don't.
assistant at one moment where I was like, "Whoa, that felt almost." Of all the violence in this film, most of which is very comical, but a lot of it's over the top. That slap, I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, that's unnecessary." It felt very out of the blue, but overall, so the big takeaway for me is it's a lot of fun. It could be a great summer getting beers with your friends and just embracing the super bonkers ride. Definitely go see it. As for bathroom breaks, any?
Bathroom breaks, I would say it's, you know what, if you take a bathroom break, some of the beginning moments, it took me a minute to even understand what was happening. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Watching it took me 10 minutes to understand that there is a plot to begin with.
Sure, yeah.
And what that was. I struggled. We were about to pause the movie to maybe read about it.
Right.
O sea, es una locura. There's so much going on, and I wanted to understand it. And then it took me a minute. So,
No kidding.
maybe the beginning but you have to watch it in order to really understand it afterwards.
They really go through the beginning is a lot of fun in introducing people that you think that they're all going to be main characters, but they're not.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a great elaborate showing up scene, right? Rich people arriving at some sort of place or event in extremely rich ways.
Yeah.
But only two of them really kind of factor into this in any important
I also really want to talk about, his name is Sho Lo, and he plays the octopus.
That guy is
He's
committed.
If you know The Little Mermaid, he's like
Yeah.
an Ursula character.
but not bad.
But complicated.
well,
Complicated and
yeah.
male and blonde dreads and more than 8 tentacles. Just need to drop that in there. It's more than 8 for sure. He's walking around and he just has these really crazy effects. I loved him.
He was great. He's blindly in defense, of course, of his own people, as he should be.
Love it.
He puts up with a lot of pain.
Yes.
A lot. In a funny way.
Yes.
He is kind of an unsuccessful mastermind. And he's doing his goddamn best to have this playboy businessman executed because of things that we won't reveal.
Yeah.
But
so if you have seen it and you see it, write us, let us know what you think. Here's one thing, especially too, if you are familiar with, it's both Mandarin and Cantonese, I think at some points, from what I've read. If you are familiar with the language and with the context and the social kind of customs and the sense of humor, especially, let us know, because at one point, my hypothesis was this was a scary movie of sorts. It was a parody of a lot of other movies, of Aquaman, of, kind of like The Little Mermaid and all of that. It still had a very prominente, like a very main focus on conservation.
It did. The mer people's area is being threatened. People are going to very damaging lengths to make sure that marine wildlife are not in an area they want to develop. That's all very true. So
which,
that's
again,
good.
for
It's
a
good
major
message.
blockbuster, a major Chinese production,
Right.
is still a relatively new angle, let's face it.
Yes.
Socially and politically. For
That's
them
right.
to be able to somehow draw parallels with the movie, like The Cove, right? And all of those movies and kind of like the dolphin slaughters and
Right.
stuff. So for them to be able to do that socially and politically, I think it's like an advancement. I loved it. I loved the entire movie, the sense of humor, everything. There's a part of me that doesn't really know why. I loved it. Does that make any sense?
I mean, it's silly. And that's the part of it that if you embrace it, the silliness, then you're doing really well. That's the frame of mind to get into for this film. The scene at the police station. Everybody
in the
loves to
trailer.
see. Everybody loves to see how the police sketch artist is able to translate whatever the word is. Like the description of the person that's been attacked or violated, and you want to see like that moment. They're like dun dun dun, and they are able to milk this gag over and over and over again. It was a highlight. That was amazing.
Yeah.
When you see that, thank me later.
Yeah, that was definitely great.
Yeah. But I think maybe the only, if you want to call it a bathroom break, if we must put one in there, the senior kind of grand dame of the mer people giving the backstory of how mer people and man split apart and how man eventually became evil. It got a little long. They did some really beautiful CGI stuff with water storytelling. But she also took a minute to step in when she needed to be there later on. But again, watch and then you'll agree. Anything else?
No.
Also, go see Kung Fu Hustle. Maybe we'll review it. It's so good. I love that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you can see Twitch, thank you. Johnny Quiz posted our stream onto the David Blue stream or his Discord. Discord, we're still figuring this out.
We'll
don't
get there.
know. And if you have any advice for this, let us know.
Genial, así aprendo inglés también.
Qué bueno, Priscila. We love Priscila.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah. We're your number one fans.
Yes. So, I'm one of his mods, so hopefully a few people there should come see. Johnny, thank you so much. That's really, really sweet. We are still getting a hang of this. I don't really know how to do any of it. I don't know how to advertise it, broadcast it. We want to broadcast it on multiple channels. We don't know how to do that. We're going to figure this all out. First attempt, we're going to try and make it work. Meanwhile, we are now going to come back to our Q&A and of the week, and then we're going to do a Q&A, and then we're going to do our pulpo, aptly named. Aceptamos pulpo como animal de compañía.
Let me pick a good cue. I want to pick a good one. Well, okay, we could. I'm just going to mention this one, but it doesn't apply to this movie. Do you ever disagree with the subtitle translations? Only when we speak the language. So in this case, no. Here's one.
Okay, so we're back now with the cue.
Oh.
Yeah. We're back because we are recording this for the podcast as well. So let's take that again.
I'm going to mention a question that we're not going to use first. Do you ever disagree with the subtitle translations? Don't know. Not in this case.
I guess
We
in
are
this case we don't know because we don't speak the main
100%
language.
reliant on that, on their translations. Somehow I think, though, that there's going to be something lost in there because there's too much. Humor in particular, I think, is much more difficult to capture in translation than drama.
Guys, we hope you're enjoying this as much, this like lovely shit show, as we're enjoying making it, because it's...
You're going to look back one day and think, my God, they've come so far.
So far. We're just setting the bar low at the beginning so that we can take it there.
Right.
Okay, so we are back with our questions of the week.
Okay.
So take it away.
Here's one that says, it's not even a question. Convince me to like subtitles.
Oof.
To like them? It's not, they're a tool. Not so much, they're not an add-on or an extra.
Sorry. You do you
Not
know if
Subtitles
they mean
us.
right? We're assuming you like us already
like
if you're
subtitles.
subscribed.
I suppose, like, you know.
You mean like the actual subtitles on the movie? Vale, lo entiendo.
That's usually
Capto.
that's the bar, right? That most people say, I don't like reading subtitles.
Right.
So how do we
Fair
convince
enough.
them to? It's not that you enjoy the subtitles so much as that
you enjoy the foreign movies enough that the subtitles are just a part of it, and
it's
you're
a tool.
Yeah, they're a tool to be able to see these stories. I think, you know, watching movies like The Mermaid, you know, which gives us a glimpse into what Chinese sense of humor and slapstick, you know, action, not superhero, I guess, but mythological movies about mermaids, what that is. To us, it feels very valuable, and reading the subtitles is almost just a part of that.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
I don't have any alternatives. Ooh, no. Okay, I said I don't have any alternatives because that's not an alternative.
Okay, fair enough.
Only if it's
She's
like an
shutting us down.
intentional, very funny dubbing, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
I think there was one, and the movie's name doesn't come to mind. I think it's like something about, not the way of the fist, but
Golden.
We'll drop that one.
Golden?
No, it's like it's this American comedian guy, and he made this really funny martial arts thing. But the gag is the dubbing, or a lot of the gag is the dubbing. I'll discuss that at another time.
Is it because I've seen a couple of movies where they do dubbing and then they do PC dubbing versus, you know, kind of explicit dubbing.
Ugh.
And so then you can see someone in Spanish saying like "hijo de puta," and in English, yet you hear like "screw you."
It loses its effect. A friend of mine.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Sube muy alto.
Oh, a friend of mine was on a flight to Saudi Arabia, and basically once they got into Saudi airspace. Apparently, like the films and everything started blanking out, and the language started changing. So they PC-ified.
Oh, just to be in their airspace?
I think
regardless
so.
of the
It was
airline?
either on the entire flight or the airspace.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's intense. They really mean it out there.
Oh my gosh.
That's control, kids.
Wow. Okay. So we have another question from Joel. This one comes from Instagram. Can you compare a foreign film to an American one? I'm assuming you mean a remake, Joel. And tell us what you think.
We are going to cover that in a future one with the Let the Right One In is the first one I could think of.
Yes. But just briefly, we can say... como segundas partes nunca fueron buenas. I don't know how to translate that.
Segunda parte, como
like
sequels are never...
remakes,
I
don't think are ever really on par with the storytelling, because when you're making a remake, a lot of the time I think you're just trying to adapt a story for a new demographic, a new audience, and a new market.
Yeah.
And that's not the artistry and the passion and the intention that goes in on the first time around when you're you know,
look, for the most part you want to remake a movie because the first one was so damn good. I don't think anybody...
Right, and I think that's the wrong reason to do so.
Right.
My argument being you should remake a movie that you think didn't execute well and was a piece of shit,
right,
but had a great concept, or the script, you know, didn't do it justice or something.
And I think, too, there's so many parts to making a good movie. It's such a special sauce, and there's so much magic involved because it's such a huge undertaking, and there's so many actors and the director and the locations, et cetera, et cetera. There's also language issues. If you're trying to remake that movie in another language, it might not translate as well. If you do a cover of a song, for example, some people have improved on the original, right? But that's usually one artist, instrumentation, you can kind of mess with that a little bit more. But movies, I think, it's really tough to recapture what
Yeah.
made the first one so great. So I'm not going to say it's futile, but maybe some people out there know about remakes that have somehow improved upon the original.
Oh,
Let
funny
us know.
enough, I'm going to say maybe not a remake and improving on the original concept, but I remember watching and highly enjoying the Office remake of the British version.
Oh,
Because Steve Carell, for me, has something that really
Yeah.
taps into that character as well. Different version than the Ricky Gervais, but I thought it was incredibly well done. I don't think I'm the only one that thinks The Office is amazing.
That's
obviously.
actually
But
a huge, perfect example.
it's the only one I can think of that did it successfully in my mind.
I wonder. Well, so the actors were all great. I suppose, the office setting and so on, pretty universal. So it's not like we're trying to we have to go to Paris, or instead of Paris we'll do some other Dayton, Ohio. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
But in this case, you can definitely recreate the office. We have offices here in America.
Yes, you do.
And we have good comedians.
Well, except now
that
during
work.
COVID, we don't know. Maybe we're getting rid of those too, because
And
we're
I'm
all
sure-
working from our living rooms, our basements, like this.
And Ricky Gervais, I'm sure, was able to, if he's the mastermind behind the whole thing, so
Right.
he was obviously able to.
He was
participate.
obviously involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only one I can think of, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Excellent.
That being said, we're going to move on to our Aceptamos Pulpo. What so great
That's-
for this
no,
movie.
That's a butterfly.
Is that?
I was like 8.
Are those hand gestures?
I can't be this octopus.
Wolverine?
Oh, is that it?
Is that
Maybe
Wolverine?
that's a good octopus? Sorry. Is that a good octopus? Aceptamos pulpo.
Aceptamos Pulpo.
God, I feel like that we could just pull a pulpo topic out of that one.
I think, you know what? I actually think we should. Here's one that I want to pull out of that movie
Okay.
in particular that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And that is violence against female characters. Because
heavy,
there were
kids.
some, well, yes,
Let's see.
because there were some moments in this movie that honestly, I was concerned about the Little Mermaid, the way that they were so violent with her. I understand it was slapstick, but I think if you watch, even if it's super slapsticky and kind of like scary movie, it tends to be the main character tripping, falling, something not, or accidental, right? Like she runs into a pan or something, or a door. It doesn't really normally come from a guy grabbing a woman by her feet and slapping her against the floor or some crazy thing. And in this movie, they kind of went there.
Yeah, I guess they did.
And that's something I'm just not accustomed to seeing in a comedic way.
Right.
Because there's much more care, I think, for how we treat, obviously thinking about domestic violence and physical abuse and stuff, but especially when it comes to men doing that on women.
I guess
We're not as used to it.
Yeah, we're not used to it. I guess it was pretty even, the violence. It was
100% the
definitely-
men still got it worse in the movie.
Right, so it wasn't exclusive to women, which would have been very strange.
Let's talk about the phallic tentacles in the
Oh,
movie
Jesus
getting grilled and chopped
my
and
God.
stuff. Like there's stuff. There's
That
definitely a lot
octopus
of weird.
guy, I'm telling you,
Poor
committed
octopus, poor
to showing the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, that's okay. She's right. It was a little bit weird to see that sort of violence. And let's look at some other possible octopi issues. Let's see.
Funny
here.
enough, if you don't know it yet, I'm willing to throw this in just because we're talking about octopuses. There is a new study that just came out and it was just published, and there's a nice write up of it on like Scientific American about octopuses doing MDMA. And how much that's
doing it
telling
on
us.
their own.
Yes, on their own. They're like going rogue, and they're going no.
So sad. The octopus community is really taking a tumble if they're relying on that.
Super, especially a species which is like in the Pacific, California, and they are normally super loners. And funny enough, in this case, they were just loving on each other.
Oh my
They were
God.
coming close to each other in the middle of the cage. Well, not cage, in the tanks.
Yeah.
And they were just like, physical contact nonstop with each other, which is very rare for this loner species unless it's mating or. So yeah, that was just like a nice little tangent, but it felt appropriate for pulpo.
I'm really happy to hear about the octopus experience of MDMA.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I kind of imagine like eels dealing it to them. That's also a little bit like a Little Mermaid sort of thing, right? Like they're the dealers.
Yeah, the
sort
two
of thing.
eels. What is it?
Flotsam and
Flotsam
jetsam.
and jetsam. Yeah, funny enough, flotsam and jetsam legal term. Also, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Just as a fun fact.
Sure.
Flotsam and jetsam, legal term that was actually used in treasure, like underwater treasures and naval treasures being discovered.
Mm-hmm.
If it was floating, there's different laws than if it's sunken in the ship. So if it floats for some reason, like the proprietary issues or someone else. I know we're taking a bit of a tangent, but it feels appropriate.
Wait, one more tangent off that tangent.
Yeah.
So I have a friend from Norway, Henrik.
Yeah.
Shout out to Henrik.
Hey, Henrik.
He's amazing. Lives in Bergen. Beautiful city. Anyway, so I don't know what I saw on Instagram, and they were talking about the tiki bar culture.
Uh-huh.
And often if you go to a tiki bar, there are these like orbs that are surrounded by some netting. Beautiful, colorful, they light them up, etc. So there's reproductions, and that's fine, but real tiki enthusiasts will pay quite a bit for the original ones, which were first made in Norway as floats for nets.
Right.
And so, and then the
Yeah, 'cause
Japanese
they would be attached to the nets so they would float.
right.
Yeah.
So those would get lost, and people would find them. If you did, obviously, that was like found treasure. And then the Japanese really got into it. And then they say, if you see, I think it was a green bottle one, that's probably a Japanese float thing. And you'll see those at your tiki bars if we ever get to go to bars again.
Well, yeah. We'll make our own bar.
They're just there
We'll
gathering dust.
Twitch our own bar. We'll podcast our own bar. We'll do it all.
Yeah. But if you happen upon one, hold on to it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of I was going to say The Mermaid. That's the movie we're reviewing. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Subtitles in Spanglish. I'm Christina Ochoa.
Karen Goro.
Goro.
That's it.
I like that you're shortening it.
It's
Goro.
too long. It's unfair to the
to the listeners.
audience. Yeah.
We will see you next week. We are live twitching the podcasts on Tuesday evening and releasing them every week on Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hasta luego.
Thanks for your patience. Mwah, mwah.
And I have to get up because I forgot I don't have a mouse to be able to
I'm just gonna wait patiently.
Here. Hi guys. Well, I'm gonna get close up. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Christina Ochoa, IT department. Woo, one woman.